OIA internal message number 3540192. Look, I know you can't access any of the systems with them on lockdown, but you can keep extracting flux from the source. Right now, your job is to find any dirt on Golden Blood you can, particularly related to Project Redoubt and Project Horizons. I swear we're finding more skeletons than I ever imagined possible. We've got to keep the Ministry Mayors from knowing the truth. If they find out, well, just keep your eyes open. I wish that Trottenheimer and Silver Stripe were cooperating, but that half-breed is dragging her hooves, and I haven't been even able to find out where Trottenheimer was transferred. Of course. OIA internal message number 3490192. I understand your concerns about Twilight Sparkle's pursuit about the impelled metamorphosis potion. Please understand that it is not in Equestria's best interests for her to succeed. In this, I am in agreement with that bastard. Do not attempt to contact Princess Luna directly about this potion. You won't like where it lands you. Just make like Flim and Flam and send her the usual garbage. Oh, and remind them who's buttering their bread now. I'll cut them off from the flux if they forget again. Horse. OIA internal message. Forwarded. Number 3512001. Honey, please come home again soon. I know you're under a lot of stress with things happening at work. I know that you can't tell me what you're doing, but remember that I love you. We love you. I hope you make it back in time for the gala. I know some time off will do wonders for my very special sun-pony. Huh. Nothing shattering. Still, it made me wonder about the cut-up photos. Jealous coworker, guilty spouse. I turned to get P21 and Rampage's opinions, but I spotted him tossing an empty medic syringe into the trash and frowned. Did you get hurt? Rampage glanced at him, and immediately her smile sickened. Haven't we all? He replied without meeting my eyes. I frowned as I looked at him. I'd gotten hurt. In fact, I could have done with a shot of painkiller myself, if I didn't know my body was repairing the damage. But despite all that fighting, I didn't recall him getting scratched. No, actually. I don't think you got hit since we entered the woods. Well then, my leg hurts, all right? He scowled, leaning back with a sigh. I'm just worn out. I hate this place. With everything that's happened, I just need it to keep me steady. He closed his shadowed eyes for a moment, then looked at me. I didn't think I'd ever seen him look so tired. Okay, just take it easy on the stuff, okay? I said with a small frown. He didn't answer as he lowered his eyes on his leg. I looked over at Rampage, but she simply shrugged. So, what's her story? The filly asked as she pointed at Boo, sitting nervously in the corner. I had been so coated with blood that she hadn't come any closer to me. I was a little worried that she might try to run off. I don't know. I've seen at least a dozen, all Earth ponies, same color, eyes, and everything. The only ones that are different are the big, aggressive ones. I think the only difference is gender. I gave a little shrug and looked at Boo again. I think she's been around longer than the rest. She was hungrier than the others and knew how to hide and stay safe. Yeah, but the others? We just saw two standing there while some of Red Eye's ponies were playing target practice. They didn't get what guns were, didn't try to fight them off or anything either. They just stood there, and when one died, the other just looked at her. It's like they're animals or something. Rampage said with a frown. Stupid animals, at that. I sighed and shrugged. Your guess is as good as mine. I looked out the door. This place was hazardous and a whole lot bigger than I anticipated. The only question... Okay, the big question is, where is Sanguine? Rampage replied. One of Red Eye's ponies said they were dicking around with Chimera. Apparently, they got back and are trying to get EC-1101 to work while they finished loading something. That would be the tanker cars, I suspect. They said this place is too damn dangerous. They're under attack. by something. The core. I sighed and rubbed my nose. Then I remembered something else. Have you two been seeing ghosts too? Predictably, both of them looked at me like I was crazy. I sighed, waving my mangled limb, wincing as the repair magic pulled and pushed and remolded the leg back into its original form. It felt like the whole thing was made of wax. Okay, not ghosts, but images? Transparent things that are there one moment and then gone the next? You're our expert on seeing things that aren't there, P21 said with a sigh. What is it this time? Twilight Sparkle, Golden Blood, and the two brothers? When she came here to find out about the flux, how it was made, apparently it was a big stink. Golden Blood first told her to go, but something changed his mind, and then they were touring the place. I rubbed the back of my neck with my good foreleg. Then I got tackled by Brass, so I don't know if they said anything after that. P21 just looked at me for several seconds before he finally shrugged. I looked at Rampage, but the striped filly just deadpanned. Don't look at me. I've got as much clue about stuff like that as she does. She gestured over at the oblivious Boo. I sighed and rubbed my head. I'd just be glad if we had a map. Oh, we found one, Rampage said as she looked at P21. Okay, Blackjack, don't face hoof. I looked at him, but he simply gave me a flat stare in return. What was wrong with him? He dug into his bags after several seconds of me staring and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I focused on it, then finally got it levitated and unfolded. Hey, not bad, Rampage said with a smile. I figured I'll be able to use my gun again in about a year or 10, I replied dryly, trying not to flush at the compliment. I could count the number of times somebody had complimented me on my magic on 0 hooves. Yeah, I figure you'll have a whole magic thing licked in no time. Don't know if it's worth it, though. Seems overrated. All those prancy unicorns with their magic, and wine, and cheese, and don't you have a sparkle and shimmer? She asked with a snort. It's a steep price, I won't lie, I said as I scanned the page, the crude drawing, then glanced at P21. He wasn't having any of it. I shook my head and looked back down at the page. I know you keep getting lost down here, but don't let security catch you with this, was mouth scrawled at the top of the page on the back of some sort of spreadsheet. There were 6 circles on a ring around a large central circle. The circle at the top was marked Security and Barracks. The upper left and lower left circles were storage/pens and distribution/receiving, respectively. The bottom circle was marked organs/live storage/refrigeration. The lower right circle was fusion, and the upper right, copy room. The middle was production. There were halls connecting to the crater, but the note was finished with a warning. No matter how late you are, never try to cut through production. The security ponies do not accept "I'm late" as an excuse. If you absolutely have to cut through, you can follow the elevated pipes to get from the copy room to distribution. But you'll have to shell out at least 50 bits at each end. And remember the golden rule. Never go down into production. It's practically all red tunnel down there. I didn't see anything marked Chimera or Control, so I had to assume that it was either in the middle or somewhere else down below. I suspected that it would be in the most secure area in the facility. Still, something about the layout made my eyes linger. I frowned. Why did it look familiar? Then it hit me. It looks almost exactly like the symbol used by the OIA. Somehow I don't believe that it was a coincidence. So, we can just go straight to production? I asked with a frown, looking at Rampage. P21 sighed and muttered. Blackjack? When has it ever been as simple as go straight there? Of course, silly me. There are big red doors that are closed up tight. Heck, even vents are barred, Rampage said with a frown. We'll have to find another way around. I looked at the map, then tapped the circle marked copy room. If there was a way to get into production undetected from there. So we just have to continue past fusion to here and look for pipes, I said, smiling at the others. Rampage nodded, but P-21 just stared off into space. I trot up next to him. Hey, you with me? Yeah. Just tired. He muttered, closing his eyes. Can't stop thinking about Priest. How he died. Right there, just like that. Rampage frowned. No offense, but aren't you taking this a little bit too hard? You knew him, what, 2 days? Not exactly a long time. He glared sharply at the striped filly, but she didn't balk. Don't get me wrong, he was a good pony, but it wasn't like you two were making adorable, sweaty buck-lovin', right? I don't have to justify my feelings to you, Rampage, he snapped. I liked him. She rolled her eyes. Yeah, so did every pony else. He was the nicest damn pony in the wasteland. Really. I think he had an allergy to being mean or something. Rampage said as she trotted towards him, looking evenly into his eyes. But it takes a lot more to make a relationship than a few days of cuddling. You have more of a relationship with Blackjack than you ever did with Priest. Rampage! Enough? I snapped, then looked at the miserable-looking blue stallion. He sighed and shook his head. I just hope that when we kill Sanguine, some of these things I'm feeling die too. I'm so sick of this place. I sighed too, looking at Rampage. The filly just snorted softly and turned away, muttering about him needing to lose an extremity before being allowed to be sick of Hoofington. I forced a smile, nudging his shoulder. Come on, P-21. Let's get this done so we can go catch up to Glory and Scotch. Then you can tell her everything she needs to hear. He didn't open his eyes. What if she's dead, Blackjack? I waited so damn long. What if she's gone? He hissed sharply and smacked the floor beside him, gritting his teeth and thumping the back of his head against the wall. Then you tell her anyway. I was the equestrian grand champion of kicking myself. I knew the signs, but I'd never have expected them to be in my stoic blue friend. But no matter what, we've got to get through this first. All that stuff comes later. I nudged his shoulder. We'll be there when you do. Either way. He relaxed a little, nodding. It's not all about me. I had to remember that. I had to. P-21 had his problems too, problems he bore silently and with dignity. I smiled at him and spread my forelegs wide. Hug? He looked at me, then sighed and pulled himself to his hooves with a groan. Let's get going. I blinked at him as he stepped back out of the office, my legs still spread wide. Then I slumped. What's the matter with him? I said with a smile. Did I do something, or... Not all about you, Blackjack. Remember? It's probably just me, but he's using an awful lot of Med-X, Rampage said quietly. So? I asked as I looked back at the filly. She face-hoofed. Hello, Blackjack. Weren't you ever taught about drug addiction? She asked in a sarcastic tone. Sure, we watched a movie about it when about a pony hoarding stable supplies because she, needed healing potions or something, but P-21 isn't anything like her. I mean, she had sores and huge hollows under her eyes, and I think there was some foaming at the mouth. She was crazy without them. I frowned at her, incredulous look, and added, defensively, I know that Scalpel mentioned something about chem damage over time way back when.